Thank you very much, Bill, for the kind introduction, and to JP for putting this on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to tell you about the Neometals story. So what I'm going to talk about is how we're going to produce the greenest, low carbon, lowest cost battery materials in the world. There's a speed reading test. I'll take it you've read that. So executive summary, we have a clear focus on minerals and materials that are necessary to power the EVs and stationary energy storage sectors. We've got 3 core projects co-funded with strong partners, all reaching FIDs in 2022. We pivoted a number of years ago away from hard rock mining into more sustainable materials recovery and recycling. We're building up our team. We've got a very good track record. We developed the world's second largest hard rock source of lithium, sold that. We've returned about 87 million bucks back to the shareholders via dividends, on-market buybacks and capital returns. We retain well in excess of $100 million in cash and investments, no debt. Then you can see our performance. We're starting to get some tailwinds, but 2 years ago we were trading at cash backing, right? And we had not an insubstantial amount of cash. So fortunately there's some good tailwinds. Board and management are the largest shareholders in the company, and the clearing company for the German Stock Exchange has now overtaken Westos as our second biggest shareholder. What I'm going to tell you about today is our lithium battery recycling business called Primobius. It's an incorporated German joint venture with one of the largest German plant builders in the world called SMS Group. So we all hear, oh no, we're going to EVs, and that's an immutable fact. That is happening. But what we don't realise is that these EVs have twice the carbon footprint of internal combustion engine when they roll off the production line, right? So the difference is that these buggers have got batteries in them, and it's the battery materials that have highly carbon generating supply chains. Like we take rocks from Greenbushes or Mount Marion in Kalgoorlie, we crush them up, we send them to China, they get turned into carbonate or hydroxide, they get shipped all over, you get DRC, Congo, cobalt, it's crazy. So how do we actually take the carbon out? Because if you leave it like this, you only become net carbon positive in 7 years. We need to do it much, much quicker. And the only way to do that is to take the carbon out of the supply chain. So the next slide here is showing if we have a ton of batteries made from virgin mine materials, we generate 8 tonnes of CO2 per tonne of batteries. If we use the normal recycling technologies which melt it, pyrometallurgy, you incinerate the graphite, you incinerate the plastics, you incinerate the lithium-bearing electrolyte gel, right? So you get about half your mass recovery, so you generate 4 tonnes of CO2. The leading HYDROMET, where we dissolve it in acid and take out the chemicals, we can produce about 200 to 300 kilograms of carbon per tonne of batteries. So what we did is essentially developed a flow sheet to recover these base metals, nickel, copper, manganese, lithium, instead of from a rock, from a battery. So what we've developed is we've got a 2-stage process. We've got what I would call the equivalent of a concentrator. So think of the batteries as the ore body. So we have to shred them safely. They've still got charge. We've got a number of safety systems. We do it, we wet shred it. We're in an inert atmosphere. We've got fire suppression over the top. We take out the plastics, the copper sheet, the aluminium sheet, the plastics, and we're left with a black powder. That black powder's got the anode, the graphite, and the cathode, so the copper, the manganese, the lithium, and the nickel. And so what we do is we put it in sulfuric acid, the graphite won't dissolve, we filter it off, and then we just use solvent extraction that was, invented in Mount Isa, in the 50s. And so all we've done is adapted a base metal refinery to take batteries instead of ore. And, if I tried to say, well, what is the equivalent? If I've got batteries that are being made now and get them in 10 years and they're NCM 811, it's the same as having a tonne of ore that's 15% nickel, 15% copper, 2% cobalt and 2% lithium. Literally, you cannot lose money. And the system that we've done is very, and we've designed it green. We recover 85% of our starting mass. We can produce cathode spec material without ion exchange. And our tailings is ammonium sulfate, or a fertiliser, because we don't use sodium, we use ammonium instead, or ammonia gas. And we're actually in the finals for the German National Sustainability Award that get decided, we're down to the last three, gets decided in December. So that's our patent pending flow sheet. And to sort of show you our engineering studies, so our operating costs are just under $1,600 a tonne. And if you've got a tonne of laptop batteries or your phone batteries, it's about $13,000 worth of recoverable material in a tonne of those batteries. And the good thing is, you know, they're now coming in cars, so they're much bigger than the laptop batteries. So it doesn't matter what we put into this thing, it makes good money. And so getting why have we got a German incorporated joint venture? Well, outside of China, Europe is going to be the largest producer of EV cars. And so then it follows that Europe is going to be the largest cell production outside of China. And when they make these cells, they're all new at it, and you get really, really high scrap rates. They start off at 20 to 30, and they get down to 10% over time. So we're going to have scrap, and then you've got end of life. So, you know, we are confident because we can see the battery plants being built. We know what they're going to need. We know what they're going to generate in scrap. And what we're even more convinced about is that these batteries bloody wear out. So you get one of these electric cars. I got one. After about 3 years, you lose about 25% of your range, right? After 8 years, these things you're going to have to toss away. So what this slide is showing is this is the total addressable market in Europe in 2025. The dark blue little bar is what the forecast was in April, and the light blue is what it is in September. So in 5 months, the projected volume for recycling in 2025 has grown from 200 to 335,000 tonnes. That's if they don't announce another battery plant. And they're announcing battery plants every month. So, you know, a fantastic market. To put that into perspective, in Europe, the total installed capacity of the European battery recycling business would be 55,000 tonnes. So how do they add 280,000 tonnes in 4 years? That's where we come into it. And in Europe, they're going to make this stuff law. So you're going to have to recycle. You're going to have to meet these minimum recycling efficiencies that we already do, and you're going to get to carbon declarations and minimum recycled content, which guarantees us a market. And this is what I said, they need a solution. So our current plant, it'll operate at 1 tonne an hour, but we've only licensed it for R&D to run at 1 tonne a day. We've now put applications to go into 10 tonnes a day. We'll get that next month. We will start commercial battery recycling for the car makers and cell makers in Germany from the first quarter of next year. We will make an investment decision on the 50 tonne a day plant sort of mid next year. And then we'll, in a couple of years' time, we'll crank that up to 500 tonnes per day. But a very, very economic business. Who are our partners? SMS Group, 150 years old, 14,500 employees in 95 sites around the world, one of the world's largest plant builders. They'll build them, operate them, they've got best endeavours to procure the debt financing. They are the commercial delivery arm. And this is what the plant looks like. So where we're operating our demonstration plant at the moment, and the baseload feedstocks from a German car maker, is at SMS's construction facilities. There's 4,500 people there. Could you think of anywhere better to build it, right? And have a look at it. The front end's in the middle there, that's the shredding beneficiation. The back end's a HYDROMET refinery. I mean, seriously, this is better than most hospitals, right? I mean, this was invented in Australia and built by the Germans, so we're really, really happy. We'll complete the demonstration trials in November, OPEX, CAPEX to DFS level around Christmas, FID in the first quarter, and then inking supply contracts or to build the plant in mid next year. And we're showing speed to market, so we're going straight away to the 10 tonnes, then we're going to build a 50 tonne ourselves. We've got a joint venture in the works with Steel Company of Canada. They need the end-of-life steel scrap for their steel production. They're going to give the batteries to us. We're going to split the profits. Fantastic. Hub and spoke, so you have different shredders around the US into a central facility, and then we've got a joint venture in the works with Itochu, looking at going to Japan and then elsewhere through Asia. So thank you very much for your attention. Happy to take questions afterwards. Have a good night.